and welcome to Business Lectures. My name is Aziz Allaberganov, and in today's lecture we'll discuss business environment. The agenda for today is, first we'll define business environment, understand why we need to study business environment, what is the implications of environment in general, what are the factors for business environment, and then we'll separate business environment into two different schools or factors, internal and external. Now, let's discuss business environment and environment in general. The definition of environment basically means it's anything that surrounds you and impacts you in a positive or a negative way. Basically, it's your surrounding that impacts your performance. Environment can be as small as a family to as big as a society. Let's take a look at family. Basically, how things are done in the family will impact children's behavior and their outcome in the society. For example, if parents read a lot of books in the family, most likely children will also read books and become readers in the future. So by setting that tone, creating that environment by parents in the family will impact their children to become readers in the future. So that's the environment that's created by their parents. That's the smallest example. We can also take a look at historical example. Historically, a very small case. For example, we had Columbus who discovered the Americas. Now, before he sailed to Americas, there was an environment ready in Europe that created an opportunity for him to go and sail the oceans to discover Americas. The environment was very basic. They had political environments. For example, the Ottoman Empire, what happened was in the east, Ottoman Empire occupied a very big lands, and for Europeans it was very difficult to trade with China and India, so they had to find a way to go around Ottomans to find a new passage to India and China to trade with them. So that was a political environment and economic environment for Europeans to do that. And second environment was social. For example, more and more Europeans wanted to eat spicy food. They wanted to try different delicious foods and cuisines and so on and so forth. As we know, in medieval times, food wasn't very tasty, so more and more people wanted to try spices and different cuisines. So it was a social environment as well. Another reason was the innovations in shipbuilding. Many shipbuilders, engineers found a way to build bigger ships and ships that can sail long distances into Americas. So there was a political reason, economic reason, social reason, and technological reason that was built in Europe that created an opportunity for Columbus to get funding from Spanish monarchs and to sail to Americas. If there was no environment, if one of the environments were missing in Europe at that time, it would be very difficult for Columbus to sail to the New World. So as you can see in this example, the environment was the biggest role that pushed the Europeans to travel and to found Americas. We can also look at modern example. As you know today, technology is developing. Internet has developed. Many people are spending time online. Internet speed is increasing. So more and more people are spending time online. They're playing games online. And because of the environment that was created by technology and by people's behavior, now many companies are building games online. For example, you can download games from Play Store and play online. So these companies understood that because of the environment created by technology and society, they could make money by creating games. Again, as you can see, environment creates opportunities and threats for the company or for the as small as the family. That was the general definition of environment. Environment as an opportunity, as a threat. And now let's take a look at what is business environment. A business environment is basically internal, external factors around the business and inside the business that can affect business operations. So we can divide business operations into two categories, internal and external. Now let's start with internal business environment. Internal business environment basically means any factors that is located inside the business. They are located within the walls of the business. Basically, anything that the company owns is an internal environment. Since these factors are inside the company can have full control and influence over them. In other words, the company can change them for a better way, or they can, if it's good already, then they can strengthen and keep it that way. Just like the family environment is internal. The parents can change the environment in the family. Internal environment is the same thing. It's inside the business. If we look at the business as a family, basically anything that happens in the business can be controlled and managed by business for their own opportunities or to avoid threats. Now, what are specific internal business environments? We have a lot of business internal environments. There are hundreds of them, but we're going to discuss the major internal business environments that every business have and has to follow very carefully. The first one is what we call mission statement and objectives. Mission statement objective means basically the company's aim, the company's goal in the society and in the long run. Basically what the company is trying to achieve in the world or in the country or in the society in general. Mission statements are basically 2 or 3 sentences, maximum paragraph, written by a company, and it publicly shows to the people and to their own employees what the company wants to achieve, what the company wants to do. There are many examples. We can take a look at Walmart. Walmart is a big retail company in the United States. They sell groceries, convenience products as groceries. They sell clothing, they sell electronics, and so on and so forth. So it's a big retail company. It's a supermarket, basically. Walmart's mission statement basically says saving people's money so they can live better lives. So that's a very powerful mission statement. Walmart is trying to say to the people that they want to save your money so you don't have to spend a lot of money in their store, so they can spend it somewhere else and be happy. Basically, you can spend somewhere else by buying a car, buying a house, or you can go to vacation. So Walmart is trying to say to the people, if you come to us, if you do business with us, if you buy from us, you will save money. And by creating this mission statement, they're also saying a very powerful message to their employees, to their managers. Their managers now, they have to look for good deals. So every time Walmart looks for a supplier, they have to find a supplier that has a good quality or average quality with a good, cheap prices, so they can buy it cheaper and resell it cheaper for their customers. So this mission statement basically created an environment for the employees to serve the customers better, so their customers can come back and buy these products. Another very important internal environment is organizational structure. How people put together, that's the definition of it. So basically how people work together, who is the manager, what is the relationship between them, and what is the function of each employee. Very important internal environment, because if the company doesn't have a very clear or strategically put organizational structure, then the employees and managers will be confused, they don't have efficiency, and also they might have internal conflicts between each other. Now, organizational structure has many different forms. The most common is bureaucratic structure, top to bottom structure, matrix structure, we have independent structure, and many others. We will cover organizational structure in detail in further lectures, but in today's example, I want to take a look at Google's organizational structure as an example for us. Google is very well-known international company, and it employs what we know cross-functional, or in other words, matrix structure. Basically, Google brings different employees from different departments into one place to work on a new product or a new service. Now, what is the aim of that? The aim is to create efficiency and better products. For example, if you have a marketing department working alone to create a product, they might create a good product. They might have a good design and good delivery systems and so on and so forth. But they might not know the cost associated with this product. They might not know whether the customers really need this, because maybe they haven't talked to customers yet. But what Google does, it employs cross-functional departments. So basically, by bringing different people working together into one place, they can get feedback, and the employees can talk to each other to create that better product. For example, if we imagine this box as a department, we have an accounting person from accounting department, we have marketing person from marketing department, we have the finance department and customer service department, and so on and so forth. So if you look at this box, we have 4 people from 4 different departments. If they're creating one product, you have the accountant and financing guy telling you how much it will cost and whether it will be sold, and so on and so forth. The cost-related issues. The marketing person will tell us how to design the product, what are the trends in products, and the customer service person will tell us what are the complaints from the customers and what the customer really need, what are the customer complaints, and so on and so forth, because they've been working with them for a long time. Because of this structure, your company can create an efficient product that is basically what customers want, the good design, and the cost efficient. Now, another very important internal environment is human resources. Now, we're not only talking about human resource department, but generally it is the people who are working in your organization. In order to create a very effective human resource department, you have to have a very good system for that. Now, why human resources is very important for internal environment? Because the company is composed of people. Yes, you might have a lot of money, a big budget for the company, you might have very expensive equipment, but if you don't have the right people and motivated people working for the company, then everything is basically useless. So you have to have the correct workers in the organization. That's a very important internal environment for that. The key is to motivate the workers to work and stay in the company, to grow in the company, and be a part of the company for a long time. There are many ways you can build motivation for workers. We'll cover that in further lectures. But basically, in our example, we can take a look at Geico as a small case. Geico is a well-known American insurance company, and Geico employs many techniques to build that crucial workers in its organization. Geico employs what we know as management training program. Management training program means you hire workers and you put through a training to develop them before you send them to work in your organization. For example, let's take a look at how it works. Basically, Geico goes out to a university, they have a job fair, and in the job fair, Geico interviews and talks to many potential graduate students from different universities. And after shortlisting and talking to many people, Geico offers a job for some of the students. And when the students graduate from the university, they go to the Geico company to work. Now, in Geico, they are put into training. So Geico brings this new, fresh graduates and asks them to go to the training. Training is funded and paid by Geico, and also these trainees, the students, are also getting salary from Geico for being part of the training. So basically, they're getting paid for it and also learning from Geico. Geico teaches their corporate culture, teaches them their rules and regulations, what they're trying to build, their mission statements, and so on and so forth. Plus, Geico gives them a management training map. So employees who come to this training, they know what they have to do and how far and how long they have to work in order to get promoted. So if a worker does that, Geico does promotions for them. Geico also employs what they call employee of the month. Basically, if you perform well, if you work well, and if you go above your requirements, above your objectives, Geico announces you as employee of the month. Geico will tell everybody your name and how long you've been working and what you have done in the organization to motivate other workers. For example, if everybody has to sell 10 insurance policies every month, and if you sell 20, for example, so you sell 10 more insurance than everybody else, Geico will announce your name to motivate other workers. And at the same time, you build a reputation in the company, and Geico also gives you a bonus system. Now, this is the way you can build a very strong employee pool in the organization, and that's what Geico does. Another very important internal factor is corporate culture. Corporate culture basically means how things are run. What is the norm in the company? Basically, if a country has a culture, a company also has a culture inside. And a company culture can be completely different from any countries. So how a company builds their culture is up to them. But you can build culture in many ways. For example, by achievements, by supporting, and so on and so forth. For example, if you have a lot of employees in the organization and you don't provide any trainings for them, most likely they will not provide good customer service, or they will not be able to create that necessary product in the future. It's very important to provide trainings for old and new employees because trends are changing. An employee that has been working for a company for 10 years might know the company culture, might know how things are done. But because customer preferences are changing, your older employees might not be able to meet that demand on time. So it's very important to provide trainings for both new and old employees, especially when the market is changing, the world is becoming smaller, internet is increasing, many people are providing feedbacks, comments on products. So it's very important for you to have trainings for new and old employees. Achievements, for example, is very important. For example, you can ask your employees to meet once or twice a month and basically share what kind of innovations and achievements they brought in. And achievement doesn't have to be a new, a new car, a brand new car, or brand new house. It can be as small as how to serve a customers better way. So if your company serves customers in a certain way, and your employee says, you know, we can do this, a new way of serving customer, that can be a small, but it's still innovation. So you can bring employees together and talk about new innovations to increase that culture of achievement. There are many ways you can build corporate culture, but these are some examples. Now, if you look at this slide, you can see many important internal environment. By implementing and creating the right internal environment, your employees will be motivated, they know what they're doing, they know who are their managers and their functions and their responsibilities, and they will be happy to work for your company. If you do not have that right internal environment, if one of these internal environments are missing in your corporation or in your company, then the performance of your employees will not be very strong, and your internal environment will be very, very weak. And because of that, your products and services will also be low in terms of quality, performance, and so on and so forth. Now let's take a look at external business environment. Just like internal business environment, external business environments are also factors that affect businesses. But unlike the internal environment, they are external. They are outside of your business operations. So they're outside of your walls. So if you take a look at the family example, if the parents are internal, the neighbors are external. So you cannot control and tell your neighbors what to do. But they can still influence your family. They can influence your children. So it's very important to understand the difference. So external environment is basically outside of your walls, you have no control, and they influence your operations. Now let's take a look at some very important external business factors. Just like the internal business factors, external business factors also have a lot of different varieties and different examples and cases. But let's take a look at the major ones in this slide. The first one is political business environment. Political business environment means basically the laws of the country. What kind of laws the country has can impact your business operations. Some laws says you cannot do that business. In some laws you have to do this or certain regulations to do the business. Every country has laws that can affect business operations. For example, we can talk about consumer laws. Consumer laws basically means protection of consumers from business negligence. For example, defective products, insurance, warranty, and so on and so forth. So basically, businesses cannot change the consumer laws. They cannot influence it as they wish. But these laws can impact business operations. For example, we can take a look at McDonald's. A few years ago, McDonald's had a case with a specific consumer. Most commercial lawyers know this as Liebig versus McDonald's. There was an old lady who went to McDonald's to buy a coffee. Now, because the coffee cup was in defect, she spilled the coffee accidentally on her leg and she got a burn. Her skin burned pretty badly. She went to hospital. She sued the company and she won the case. Now, McDonald's, in this example, could not change the law. Consumer law is there, and it's there to protect the consumers. And because it's external environment, McDonald's could not do much. They actually went to court to defend their position. They lost, but still they could not do much about the consumer law. What the company can do in this situation is to adapt and understand the laws and to work with the laws so that they don't break it, so there will not be any problems with it. So but after this case, McDonald's and many companies now, they pay attention to their cups. They put warnings in the cups saying hot surface and so on and so forth. Another very important external business factor is economics or market, the market we're operating in. Now, there are many external business factors that are involved in economics. Inflation, deflation, exchange rates, employment, unemployment, and so on. So labor, demand, supply. There are many economic factors. But in this one, we can take a look at recessions and economic crises. Again, when economy crashes or market crashes, we cannot influence that. We have no role. I mean, we can have a role in that, but in overall, we cannot stop economic crises. It happens. We cannot control the market, so it happens on its own. So because of economic crisis in 2008, a lot of businesses lost demand. People were not willing to buy. The confidence decreased. They didn't want to get a lot of shares. They start selling their shares and so on. So because of demand and because of consumer confidence, a lot of companies went bankrupt. For example, AIG, Washington Mutual, and so on and so forth. Inflation can play a role. Deflation also can play a role, and so on and so forth. Now, next very important external business factor is society and culture, how it affects our business operations. We're looking at cultures and religions here. Now, just like the political and economic environment, we cannot control or change religion and society in general. So a company that's operating in a culture or in a specific society, they have to adapt to their norms and beliefs in order to do business. For example, if you have a product that has a pork meat inside, it will be very difficult for you to go to Arabic country to sell it. Or if you have a regular fast food restaurant, it will be very difficult for you to sell in India because Indians are requiring for more spicy foods. So if you want to sell in India, you have to add more spices. If you want to sell to Arabic nations, you have to remove the pork products from your services and from your products. So let's take a look at Starbucks as a classic example. Starbucks is a coffee chain in the United States, and when they went to China, they analyzed the Chinese market very carefully. If you go to the United States, you see Starbucks has a very brick-like, more European style, Western style buildings. But if you go to China, you will see Starbucks has more Chinese style architecture. They have the curved roofs and so on and so forth. So by going to China and adapted to Chinese, the society, even their buildings, the Starbucks company is telling the Chinese people that they're here as a friend and to do business and to sell and service the Chinese society. And because of that, because of the adaptation, successful adaptation to Chinese culture, Starbucks was able to sell and capture market share quickly. The next very important external business factor is technology or innovation. Just like any other external environment, we cannot stop or we cannot influence technology in many ways. So technology is developing on its own. We cannot stop it. But technology can influence our business operations. For example, today, many people are spending more time online, just like I said before. Internet has been increasing. Internet is available to many, many people today. And because of that, now companies have to adapt to that change. Just like any other factors, technology brings opportunities and threats for companies. So companies now have to go online to serve these customers. That's why you see many companies are selling their products online. They have customer service online. Now some companies are even selling food to their customers. Now, let's take a look at classic example of Netflix and Blockbuster. Netflix and Blockbuster are companies that provide movies and music online. Specifically Netflix does. Blockbuster was an older company that existed a few years back. Blockbuster was a company that used to rent movies and musics for their customers. So you could go to Blockbuster, rent movies for a few days, and return it after you've seen or listened to music. So because of technology was changing in 2000, early 2000, Netflix recognized that change, and it could see that more customers now will spend more time online. They will not physically go to a store to rent a movie. So Netflix offered a different solution. So they created an online service where you subscribe for it and get movies and music online, as you already know that. Starbucks failed to adapt to technological change. It still continued with its traditional movie renting, and eventually it started losing customers, and it eventually basically lost the market share. Next, very important external business factor is ecology. How ecological changes will affect your businesses. Again, you cannot change ecology. You can influence it in terms of productions, but again, overall ecology cannot be controlled or changed by one business in general. What do we mean by ecological factors is basically changing in ecology, global warming awareness, ecological awareness. Today, more and more customers and governments and societies are ecologically aware. They're looking for eco-friendly products. And because of that, if your company continues harming the environment, for example, then you might lose that favor. But if you show the public and adapt to ecological awareness, then you will be able to better sell your products. For example, you can offer the customers recycled products. You can show the customer that you are not harming the environment, and so on and so forth. For example, Nestle and many other beverage making companies, they today recycle their bottles to show the customers that they actually care about ecology, and so on and so forth. Again, many of these companies cannot change the ecology, but they can adapt to that ecological change to continue their big market share. A very good example is today, many European countries are recycling tires. They're taking tires, used tires, they're recycling them to make carpets and fields and so on and so forth. Roadblocks as well. The next very important external business factor is competition. Competition around you. Again, you cannot control competition, you cannot influence them. The only thing you can do is to analyze the competition and adapt to that or protect your business operations. Competition can mean how expensive it is in your industry to open a new business. For example, if it's very expensive to compete in your industry, then you are safe from a lot of competition. If it's not very expensive to open a business in your industry, then you'll have a lot of competition against you. So it can play a big role. Another thing is basically substitution. How many products can be substituted with yours? For example, today a lot of people reading Kindle, ebooks, and because of that, classic book publishing companies might suffer because people are now reading more books online. So it's a substitute for classical, paper books. Another example can be supplier power, buyer power. For example, if you have a lot of competition in your market, then your customers have choices. If they don't like your quality and price, they can go to the competition. They can buy from another person or another business. So now your consumers have more buying power and so on. So if your consumers have more buying power, then you have to really care about your quality and price. Last but not least, external environment is publics. Very important 21st century. Because of technology and internet, today consumers can go online and post comments about your products and services. A lot of companies today really care about publics. Publics are basically bloggers, potrебители. These group of people, they go online, they buy a product or service, they try it, and then post comments. These comments can play a very, very crucial role on your product and your company's success. If your product is not the quality that you promised, these bloggers can go online and post comments and affect your business operations. Again, as a business, you cannot influence and control these bloggers. They're independent bloggers that can influence your business operations. If we want to conclude, we can put business environment into these circles. The blue circle represents the business, and as you see, business environment is inside the blue circle. And external business environment is outside the blue circle. So business environment is inside our business, external environment is outside our business, which means we have full control of internal environment, we have no control of external environment. Now they can both influence our business operations. So depending on how we build our internal environment and how we adapt to external environment, we can be successful or not so successful. So basically from that, we look at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What happens inside the business is our strength or weakness. If we don't have strong employees, that's a weakness. So by looking at it, we have to take the weakness in the company and change it. We have to improve it. So if you have weak employees, you have to give trainings and so on and so forth. Because remember, you have influence over that. You can influence your internal business operations. If you have a strength, if you already have very strong employee workforce, then you can just keep it and continue that process. If we take a look at external business environment, we can see it as an opportunity or a threat. A new technology can be a threat or opportunity. If we don't take advantage of the opportunity, it will become a threat in the future. So, by looking at external environment, if we see opportunity in that, we have to take it. Starbucks, when they went to China, they saw opportunity. It's a big market, growing, there's going to be big demand. They went there, they analyzed Chinese culture, they adapted to Chinese culture and fit right in. If the technology is changing again, if your competitors are going online and you don't go online to sell your products, then it becomes a threat and you might lose in the market in the future. That concludes our conversation for business introduction. Thank you for watching and see you later again.